From fighters known for their devastating strikes to middleweight champions with the longest winning streaks, here are the most dangerous fighters in UFC history to step into the cage, starting with Chuck Liddell.
Real warriors. I mean, they want a definitive ending to this bout. Randy might be hurt.
Yeah, Randy might be hurt. Randy trying to close in though now. And he goes down. He's down.
Who's known for his devastating strike, not to mention his powerful strikes and knockout ability. He was a skilled fighter with a reputation for being one of the hardest hitters in UFC history, making him a dangerous opponent for anyone who stepped into the ring with him. Liddell's fight against Tito Ortiz was a highly anticipated matchup between two of the biggest stars in the UFC. The fight was a back-and-forth battle, but ultimately, Liddell landed a powerful overhand right that knocked Ortiz out in the second round. His fight against Randy Couture was highly competitive, with both fighters having much to prove. The fight was mostly contested on the feet, with both fighters landing big shots. Ultimately, Liddell landed a devastating right hand that knocked Couture out, securing the victory and solidifying his reputation as a dangerous striker. And speaking of dangerous, let's not forget this next fighter who holds the longest winning streak in UFC history with 16 wins, Anderson Silva.
He was stunned. He was like
Bad. I thought it was over.
Oh, he is in big trouble. Chris Lehman goes down again. The debut of Anderson Silva.
Considered one of the greatest fighters of all time, Silva was a dangerous fighter because of his striking skills and incredible knockout power. He had a long winning streak in the UFC and was considered one of the best fighters of all time. One example of his dangerous fighting style is his fight against Vitor Belfort. In this fight, Silva showed his striking skills by landing a quick front kick to Belfort's face, knocking him out and securing the victory in the first round. Now, this next fighter's not a middleweight champion, but he's got a record of wins of his own, Matt Hughes.
He's got crushing power. Buckled Almeida.
And he's hanging on tight to Almeida.
That's a strong man. He could finish.
The two-time UFC welterweight champion holds the record for the most victories in the division. With a record of 45 wins and 9 losses, Hughes was known for his grappling skills and devastating ground and pound. One example of his dangerous fighting style was his fight against Frank Trigg. Hughes proved his grappling skills in this fight by taking Trigg down, getting into a dominant position, and raining down strikes until the referee stopped the fight. This victory showed Hughes' ability to control his opponent and finish the fight with his ground and pound striking. Kinda like this next fighter who wasn't just impressive in one weight class, BJ Penn.
The PTG steps forward.
Oh, he's got the choke. He's down.
Penn looking to remain the champion. It is all.
He was the first fighter to win championships in 2 weight classes and was famous for being a dangerous fighter because of his well-rounded skill set and finishing ability. He was a 2-division champion in the UFC and was known for his striking, grappling, and submission. One example of his dangerous fighting style was his fight against Matt Hughes. In this fight, Penn proved his striking skills by knocking Hughes down with punches, then finishing him with a rear naked choke submission. This victory showed Penn's ability to finish fights both standing and on the ground, making him a dangerous opponent for any fighter. Just like the next fighter who's known as one of the greatest in the sport, Georges St-Pierre.
I've been waiting for this for a long time, since Georges St-Pierre was on his knees in the octagon, begging, give me a shot at the title.
And here it is tonight.
The 3-time UFC welterweight champion's a league of his own, due to his well-rounded skills and dominant grappling. He was a former 2-division champion in the UFC and was known for his striking, grappling, and submission. In his fight against Matt Hughes, St-Pierre demonstrated his grappling skills by taking Hughes down and submitting him with a rear naked choke. This victory showcased St-Pierre's ability to control the fight and finish his opponent on the ground. In his fight against Matt Serra, St-Pierre showed his striking skills by knocking Serra down with a head kick and finishing him with strikes on the ground. This victory was a defining moment in St-Pierre's career and demonstrated his ability to overcome adversity and come out on top against a dangerous opponent. Just like Matt Hughes, this upcoming fighter also specializes in ground and pound, Fedor Emelianenko.
Fedor Emelianenko makes that final walk on February 4th. The ghosts of MMA will make it with him. He is the last remnant of a golden era, the last glimmer of a dying light.
Considered one of the best heavyweight fighters in MMA history, Fedor was at the top of his game. He fought in what's arguably the toughest and most well-known promotion ever, Pride. If you just looked at Fedor, you wouldn't think he was special. He wasn't big, tall, and scary like most of the other fighters in his division. To put it another way, he didn't seem scary until you looked into his eyes. Fedor was known for his relentless ground and pound, and his cold, steely look before a fight often gave his opponents the chills. He could take anyone to the ground and beat them badly, no matter who they were. Fedor had beaten many former UFC champions, and when he was at the top of his game, he was thought to be the most dangerous man on the planet, but perhaps not as dangerous as this UFC light heavyweight champion, Jon Jones.
Gustafsson in a world of trouble here. Gustafsson's in trouble. That's it. Jon Jones has
regained the throne!
Wow.
Considered one of the greatest fighters in the sport, this former UFC light heavyweight champion has a record of 26 wins and 1 loss and is known for his striking and grappling skills. Jon Jones won the light heavyweight title in 2011, but since then, he's had a rough time, with a mix of amazing wins and problems away from the octagon. The UFC said Jones would fight Gane on March 4 at UFC 285 in Las Vegas. This will be Jones's first fight at heavyweight. The fight will be Jones's first in more than 3 years, and it'll be for the heavyweight title. Speaking of heavyweight, this next fighter is known for his determination and grappling skills, Randy Couture.
All 3 judges score this contest. The new UFC, the Natural.
Most people know Couture as a clinch and ground and pound fighter who uses his wrestling skills to take down his opponent, get on top of him, and keep hitting him while he's on the ground. He's shown a wide range of skills in boxing and catch wrestling. Randy Couture's been a part of the UFC since before Zuffa. He fought for the first time at UFC 13 in 1997. He quickly became one of the best competitors. In his 4th fight, he won the UFC heavyweight title. Because Couture got to the top so quickly, he was there for all of the most important events in UFC history. During his early career and 2 epic fights with Pedro Rizzo, Couture helped prove that the UFC heavyweight title was real. But he's still not as good as this fighter with the most devastating kicks, Baz Rutten. As a former UFC heavyweight champion, Baz is considered one of the best strikers in the history of the sport. With a record of 28 wins and 4 losses, he was known for his devastating kicks and punches. Rutten definitely adjusted to MMA much better than Smith or any other kickboxer of that time, and for that, he deserves a lot of respect. Once Baz was on his back, he knew some basic sweeps and submissions that worked well enough with the Pancrase rules and the competition he faced. Baz didn't have to worry about getting beaten up on the ground, so he could hit a sweep or submission or just get out of an opponent's submission attempt. That was the only thing you could do from the top position, so he could go back to striking where he really shined. But do you know who else shined? Conor McGregor. As a former featherweight and lightweight champion, he's considered one of the most dangerous fighters in UFC history.
I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
With a record of 22 wins and 4 losses, he's known for his striking and knockout power, and has had a tremendous career ever since he joined the UFC. Conor, along with everyone else, has left their mark on the sport, and will forever be remembered as some of the greatest to ever step inside the octagon.
Punch, but Conor's accuracy and power was just too much for him.
He didn't come here to take part. He came here to take over.
That's all for the most dangerous fighters in UFC history. See you in the next one.